Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the podcast. Got a beautiful guest today. Really, really grateful she said yes to this. I've had the privilege of working with Liv Gargioni. Did I say that right?
Gargioni.
Gargioni. I literally practiced it 10 seconds ago. But
So good.
regardless of that, she is an incredible woman, NLP and hypnosis practitioner, registered nurse. Her mission is to help as many people live their highest potential. She's a beautiful soul, genuine, incredible person. And I'm really excited and grateful that you're on the podcast today. Liv, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I feel privileged.
This is going to be a good chat. So me and Liv worked together for about 2 or 3 months, give or take. My time frames are pretty off. It might be less or more than that. How long did we
Yeah.
work together for?
Yeah, I think it was 2 months.
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
I'd love for everyone to hear your story. So take that as wherever you want to take it and just tell us, who is Liv? How did you become who you are? What have you been through? What are you passionate about? All the above.
Sure. So I'm originally from Tasmania. So I now live on the Gold Coast. So I made the big city move. I grew up with my family who are great. And I grew up on 6 acres of bushland. So I'm a little bit of a country gal
Yeah.
at heart. But yeah, I guess my story, I'm going to start it when I was in high school. Actually, I had a few eating disorder tendencies when I was 16. And that led me down quite a dark path, I would say. And I didn't seek any help. I actually hid it from my family because my sister was quite unwell with the same thing. And I didn't feel like I wasn't as bad and therefore couldn't take up any space or energy or time. That went through until I was about 18. And I struggled with a lot of self-worth, self-love, fear of not being loved, all of the above for a long time, like through relationships. And I struggled with a lot of body dysmorphia. I went on to study my nursing and finished my nursing degree and got that. And that really gave me some, worth and confidence in that area. And I actually went on to do 2 bodybuilding competitions after that. Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, I did. So they were great. However, that in combination with the previous eating disorder behaviors, that didn't go down so well post-comp because, for bodybuilding competitions, you are really strict on your diet and you get down to very low body fat percentage, etc. And then coming back out of that, I didn't really reverse diet correctly and put on a lot of weight, which really just my mental health really declined, and against like all the limiting beliefs of self-worth and all of that creeped in. And it really did impact on my relationships. I did have a long-term relationship while I did one of those comps, and it really, bless his soul, it really took a toll on him at that time. And I decided one day to change that story, and I started, really listening to my body, intuitively eating, or still exercising because I love it. But yeah, I changed that, and I don't think I'd ever do another bodybuilding competition, but hats off to people who do them.
Well, once you finish your story, you might dive back into that because I've had a few, people in comps in that comp world on my podcast. So we'd love to know from, an NLP sort of angle what your thoughts are on it. But keep going with your story and we'll probably come back to that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. So I moved to the Gold Coast with my now ex-partner at the time. We moved together. He wanted to get into the firefighters, and I thought, why the hell not move states? Like, what a great idea. So we packed up everything on the ute that we had and we came over the Bass Strait. And yeah, we lived in Brisbane for quite a while. A lot of things happened in that relationship. It was a tough time for both of us. And I made the decision last year that it just wasn't going to work for us. So we ended up breaking up. And I always knew that I wanted to be living near the beach. That was where I wanted to be. I had this yearning for it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to make this happen. So moved to the Gold Coast, and it was pretty lonely at first. I felt very alone. I was a bit lost, still like had those feelings of depression and all of that. And I started making myself go to these community events. Mega Run, you would know one of them. And also Familyhood Gold Coast. And I forced myself to go by myself, and I started to make lots of friends. And going to these communities, I started to feel really good. And I was like, oh, this is great. And like I can say now, I have made so many friends from going to these communities, and just, thank God I had the strength to push myself to go there by myself. Because it's really like, I have a big thing about sense of community. Like I believe everyone needs a community, whether that's, small or big, as long as you resonate with your community and you have support within that. Because like from an evolution point of view, we're meant to be in tribes, really. And so if we don't have a sense of tribe, we feel on the outskirts, we feel like an outsider. So for me, that was like a big life-changing thing coming here, is having those communities. And then I guess I had a year off nursing as well. I didn't resonate with it anymore. I felt really burnt out when I left Tassie, so I had a year off. And I've recently gone back in, and I love the place that I work now. It's really great. It's not stressful. My boss is awesome. And I just had this feeling though that, and we went through this when we worked together, that that's not my everything, and it's not the be all and end all. And I'm here to do more than work for somebody. So I did my NLP course, which is neuro-linguistic programming, through Elizabeth Ann Walker training. And that has honestly been the most life-changing thing I have ever done. And now I'm on my way. Well, I am coaching. I've got a coaching business, and I'm trying to get clients, and yeah, it's all happening. It's so exciting. So
I fucking love that.
that's my story kind of summed up quickly.
Thank you for sharing. Some things I didn't know about you from when we worked together
Yeah.
to now. I guess there's a couple of things I'd love to know. I'd love to know obviously more about your mission, why it is that you want to help people, how you're going to help people. I guess I would love to know a little bit about your ability and courage to go and meet people, because it's a very common thing. Like people, they're like, oh, I want to make better friends, or the friends they've got aren't empowering, or they're toxic, they're holding them back. I guess if you could maybe walk through your decision and your mindset to go there by yourself. And I speak from firsthand social anxiety. Probably one of my biggest pain points was that social interaction with meeting new people, feeling a little bit awkward and I know feeling shy, all the above. So could you maybe walk us through? Could you come to the Gold Coast? Well, you went to Brisbane, sorry. You broke up with partner there and then came down solo. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So how did you, I guess, because from when I met you anyways, like you were already involved with those groups and you seemed like you had an awesome circle around you, and I thought you're from the Gold Coast. So it's so could you maybe run us through, if someone's listening right now who wants to meet more people, wants to build their community, wants to network more, how were you able to do that, and how would you advise someone who wants to do the same thing?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I was someone who used to associate myself as a complete introvert. So hopefully and social anxiety. So that's, a reference for people that I have experienced that as well. I guess I knew some people, and I had a few friends that were going to those events. So I guess that helps a little bit. However, what I would suggest is, if you can see on, socials that there's a group that you really want to go and try, um, I would even just like, if you can just get yourself up out of bed and awake, that's a perfect start to going. Get yourself in the car and drive yourself there. And it's like, well, I'm already here now. So if you can force yourself to do those steps, And say the social anxiety creeps in and you're like, I don't think I can go over and talk to those people. Just walk past and have a little look.
Just creep on in, creep
just
on the side.
just have a little wander past. You don't have to go in. Um, just being inquisitive, and you know, these groups, and especially the people on the Gold Coast, seriously, they're so friendly. Um, and it's all about welcoming people in. So for me personally, if I saw someone who was looking a bit inquisitive, not sure, I would actually probably go up to them and say, hey, how are you? Like, do you want to come try this? Are you coming? You know, and that might be that first step for that person with social anxiety that's not sure to, that might be their first thing that gets them in the door.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how has your life improved since doing that? Because for people that want to, if you want to do anything, you want to go to the gym more, you want to be healthier, you want to network more, it's linking those benefits so it makes you want to do it. So I'm curious on how has your life improved since being able to go get outside your comfort zone and go network with these people?
Oh, immensely. Because I feel like there's so many more opportunities that you don't realize when you're able to just push yourself that little bit out of your comfort zone. Like, I feel like when you're so aligned and the universe recognizes that you're going out and taking opportunities, they will present you with more opportunities because you'll just,
Absolutely.
yeah, like, you know, when you go and meet people and they're like, oh, hey, like I'm doing this, or like I'm looking for someone to do this, and you're like, oh, I know the answer because I know this person. Like, that's what networking is about. It's like you go and meet people and all of a sudden you realize you were just meant to meet them at that specific time and that was meant to happen.
Mm, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I'm curious on as well. The you mentioned it as you shared your story, like you had that calling for more,
Mm.
and that's when we around the time we started working together. Has that been something that has always been there? That voice, that I would call that intuition, that calling, has that always been there, like since you were younger, or when did you start to become conscious of it? And then I'll ask something off the back end of that.
Yeah. I would say that probably it would have happened after I started nursing. And I think when I experienced burnout from nursing and I wasn't enjoying it, I went, I just thought there's just got to be something else in life for me. This was actually during COVID as well.
Yeah.
And I was just, yeah, I just had the thought there has to be something else. Like, this just can't be my life, that I just get up and go to work and I don't enjoy my life. Like, that's not something I want for me. There has to be more.
Mm.
Yeah.
What sprung that question? Was that something you just kind of started asking yourself? Because I find, and obviously I'm speaking very generally right now, but I find a lot of people feel that way, but they either ignore it, they just kind of think it's normal. Oh, it's just normal that, you know, I'm meant to do this for 50 years, right? I'm meant to do this, pay the bills, get a mortgage, etc. When there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people, I believe anyways, I believe everyone has a calling. Everyone's got a purpose, right? Everyone's got a reason they're here. And it might not necessarily be to work a job you're working. That might have been the career path you chose in year 12 or year 11, but that might not be your true definite calling. So the reason I'm asking these questions is I'm just curious on how someone can become a little bit more in tune with themselves, and then from there have the courage that you had to start asking these questions, start doing the work, start putting feelers out there, so you can actually start to get now in a position where you're coaching people and you're doing what you love. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Um, I would say, trying to think. Can you ask the question again?
Absolutely. So was the intuition always there?
Mm,
And how did you then act upon it? Is probably the next question.
okay. I think I recognized the intuition at that time when I was burnt out in nursing during COVID, and how I,
What gave you the courage? What gave you the strength? Because like you're in the coaching world, like it would
yeah,
be people's limiting beliefs or the stories they tell themselves that I'm not good enough, I can't do that. But it's like the difference between someone who makes the leap and someone who doesn't. It's what's going on in here, right? So I'm just
yeah.
curious, well, what was going on in here for you for you to start to go to NLP, invest into yourself, start a coaching business, start to do things that you're truly passionate about rather than ignore that voice. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I've always had a drive and discipline. And I think that maybe that's what, I don't know. I really don't know.
That's fine. Some people,
Um,
I like asking questions that people might not have thought the answer for. Maybe you've never thought of this question before.
yeah, I guess I always just like, if I have an idea that I want to do something, then I'll, I guess I'll think it through and I'll go, well, okay, what are the steps that I would need to take to get that done?
Awesome.
And okay, here's my answer now. It's coming out.
There we go. It's coming. That's all right. Just
It's
had to
coming
register.
now.
That's good.
Yeah, I guess I would, if I want to achieve something, what have I got to do to get there? What are the steps?
Plan
Like
it out.
for example, yeah, plan it out. And then it's about taking action. Like you just, and it's not like it's always big action. It could be small steps, which is what you've taught me. So for example, when I was feeling that burnout and wanting to change, like knew that there was more for me, I actually started a dietetics degree.
That's good.
Because I thought I've had enough of this. I've always loved health and fitness. I want to be a dietitian and I want to help people in this way because of the previous eating disorder things and helping people get through that. I was like, this is what I want to do now. So I just applied for uni and I started an Instagram page and I started posting, showing up on my socials on there, posting information about things I knew, and started the degree and did like a semester and 2 subjects and then realized that that's not quite what I wanted.
That's okay. I like the fact, and something that may be a lesson for people to get out of this is it's like you're not going to know till you fucking try. And
Yeah.
it's like I use the example that Kerwin Ray taught me. It's like Baskin Robbins. People will, and that's your career. People will try one flavor and they'll say that's my favorite flavor. It's like, well, how do you know? You haven't tried the other 76 options.
Yeah.
You've got one and you're saying it's your favorite one. Like, go try it. You've tried nursing, you tried the dietetics, you did the bodybuilding. Like, you're out there taking action, and you're then combining that with an intuition that you're listening to. And I just find that very rare, Liv. I think that's something that I really admire about you. And I'm just, for the people listening, just to encourage you to go out and take action. Fucking try it. Like, you want to do something, try it. I wanted to be a teacher. So I went to, and I was a teacher aide, and it was okay, but it wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. Right. And you might have had that experience with your nursing, and then you're like, that's cool. What else is there? What else can I try? And you keep going until you hit the nail on the head and you're like, yeah, this is what I love.
Yeah. And they say there's no failure, only feedback.
I like that.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
I would love to know, you just mentioned it's the most life-changing event you've gone through. Can you take us through the NLP experience? So take us through what it is for, I guess, people hearing this for the first time. What is it? And your experience through it as well.
Yeah. I always find it a bit tricky to describe to people exactly what NLP is, but NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. So, I mean, we use it as a modality it's like how our brains over time have been programmed in all these programs and belief systems, and it's kind of rewiring your brain and changing all of these beliefs and using language as a part of that as well, because part of the belief systems and programs is we've been programmed to talk and speak a certain way without actually realizing that the language we use might actually be damaging. And yeah, that's my way of describing it.
And what was your experience going through it? Like, why in your words was it so life-changing?
Yeah. This specific NLP course is different to, I guess, other ones that are done. So it's called integrated NLP. And yeah, we're in a classroom and we sit down with books and we learn the processes. But there's just so much more like that in that room. That's your community and your family for 7 days. Like, you're with these people for not quite 24 hours, but I mean, sometimes we were there 8 a.m. till 12 a.m. So like you're there a lot and um, and I guess we did, some really life-changing breath work in that experience and meditation. We did goal dropping. Um, and I guess what was really great is for each technique that we learned for NLP, we did it on ourselves. So we're actually experiencing every single process that we would do with a client. I've already done it. So I know that it works because I've done it myself, which I love because, it's not like I've just sat there with a book and learnt about it. It's like, no, I've actually been there and done that and worked through my stuff. And, that's what makes me passionate about it, because I'm like, I know that it works because it worked for me and it changed me for the better. And it makes me so excited, which you can probably hear in my voice.
I love the excitement. The genuine enthusiasm from you. What are some of the tools that really changed you? What were some of them that really stood out to you?
Yeah. We did one called anchoring, which was basically anchoring I would say a high vibrational emotion. So we did motivation. It's literally like you can anchor onto a knuckle and an emotion. And literally every time I press this little knuckle here, I have this like feeling of motivation. So like if I get up in the morning and I'm like, not sure, if I just press my button, I'm motivated. And it sounds funny to people and you may think, oh, I don't believe that will work. But seriously, it's like I get this big, I don't know, whoosh of motivation every time I do that. So that one's really great.
Awesome.
The breath work was,
Yeah, that might be the answer. You might continue with it. What's one that someone listening could apply straight away? Because I understand anchoring, you get to a peak state, then you apply the anchor and do that
Yeah.
10 times, and I click if you haven't noticed. So
Yeah.
mine's a click.
Yeah.
So what's if it you might continue might be the answer with breath work, but what's something that's for someone who's listening can apply to their life right now?
A technique.
Yeah, a tool or technique, just something that you really got out of that event.
I would say maybe we did one for procrastination, which was that was changing the anchor. So you probably have to do that with a practitioner. I'm trying to think of one that someone could do right now. Oh, perceptual positions was really great.
Awesome.
So that was like with say if you've got frustration or resentment towards someone, and you stand in your body as yourself from your perception of the specific situation, and you voice what your perception is. Then you have opposite you, whoever the person is that you're resenting, whatever the emotion is, and you go around and you step into their body, and then you actually feel into, well, how would they be feeling in that situation, and genuinely feel into that and voice that. And then you have a third party where that might be like, say if it was like me and my sister, it might be like my mum, and look at it from her perspective as well. And that's really powerful because it just gets you to change your perception on the situation. And afterwards, you don't feel much, resentment or anger, because you've seen it from all perspectives and perceptions.
Epic,
Yeah.
powerful, really good. Tell me about your mission. So your mission now
My
to help as
mission.
many people live their highest potential. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I guess my mission has changed a little bit since we've worked together, but it's still very similar to that. But basically I just want to I want to empower people, especially women. But yeah, I just want to empower anyone to help them basically feel the way that I do now, because I truly believe, and you would too, that everyone has a purpose here, and whatever that purpose may be, they should get the opportunity to live that out and fulfill that purpose. And by doing that, getting the feelings of empowerment and, purpose and just feeling driven. And I think that when I can help people do that, it'll just it's a domino effect, right? So like the more people that I can help feel empowered and feel great in this world. And the more coaches that do that, we can change the whole world and the way that the world feels.
Mm. You remind me of it's the help one, teach one. You help one person who then helps one person, then helps one
Yeah.
person, and you
Yeah.
just get that exponential growth of impact around the world. So that's awesome. How are you going to now and in the future? How are you going to achieve that? How are you going to help as many people live to their highest potential?
Um, I would, I'm probably going to take them through exactly what I did in the prac room, or very similar to. I have a 6 week breakthrough program, which is
Ooh,
probably,
tell us about that.
yeah. So it's 6 weeks, 1 hour coaching sessions a week with me. And basically, we go through a whole lot of stuff. So, like goal setting, I take you through the emotional change technique, which I can touch on soon, which is the thing that absolutely changed everything for me. But yeah, basically, any kind of limiting beliefs, limiting decisions, emotions, anything that people are dealing with and feeling like it's holding them back to from reaching their highest potential, I'm going to, help them work through that, clear that away so that they can, give full focus on their purpose and their goals and be driven to achieve them, and therefore feel empowered and fulfill their purpose.
I love that. Can you
Yeah.
tell me about that ECT, emotional change therapy?
Yeah. Yeah. So emotional change technique. So basically, we work through a list of emotions and limiting decisions, we call them. And it, I think there's like 9 of them. So it took when we did it one after the other. If I was to do it with a client, I'd be doing 1 to 2 per session. Um, but basically, you stand on your timeline and you take yourself, well, it's the practitioner that's talking to you, but you go back to the very first time that you experienced. I'm going to use sadness as my example. The very first time I experienced sadness, and for me it was something that I didn't even recognize was traumatic at the time. However, it's carried through my whole life. So it was when I was 5 years old. I was standing in the driveway crying because mum was going to work. She was a nurse and a shift worker, and I didn't want her to leave. And so I was crying. She left. I ran to her bedroom, was on her bed, sobbing. And dad was like, oh, why are you crying? What are you like? He just didn't know how to comfort me in the way that I needed at that time. And, that's okay because people do the best with what they can with the knowledge that they have at the time. And yeah, that was the pivotal moment of where a lot of my fear of not being good enough, not unworthiness, that's where all of it came from. And I was like, wow, I wouldn't have thought that would have been trauma, but it was for me in that situation.
Mm.
So yeah, we took me back to that very first time that I experienced that emotion. And we basically you do perceptual positions in that as well. So I went into mum and dad's perception and voiced, what they were doing in that moment. And then you take yourself to a time on your timeline where you feel totally loved and you get that feeling of love. Then you take it back to the time of sadness where you felt that. And then you take it back before. And then you walk all the way up your timeline. And it's just like this. It's like you've flicked a switch. Honestly, I don't really know how to describe it, but it's like a switch is flicked and you're just changed that belief system. And it's like it's integrated now. So it's still there. But with certain situations that arise that I might be like, oh, I don't feel good enough or I don't feel loved. And I don't have that anymore.
Mm.
It's like it doesn't come up for me, or not, it doesn't come up really strong. And I'm able to recognize it and go, oh, okay, that's what that is. Cool. Moving on. Yeah.
That's powerful. Very
It's
powerful stuff.
it's really powerful. That's why it was so life-changing, because had just integrated those limiting beliefs that I'd carried through relationship after relationship and friendships and things. And it's great now because I don't have that anymore.
And now you're going to share that with the world, right?
Yeah, and I want to share that with the world because it's such a great feeling, and there could be so many more great relationships from this as well. Like, imagine doing that with every single person who doesn't feel good enough, doesn't feel loved. Like, that's life changing.
Mm. What's next for you now? So what are you focusing on now?
Um, in business.
Answer that however you want to answer it.
All right. What's next for me? So I'm getting clients for my coaching business. I guess building my following, building my Instagram, getting my content out there. I'm still working as a nurse as well. I'm just trying to find the balance between working, because I have to make money, but also giving time to that business because I do recognize that it is a lot of effort, as I've found out. But I really want to do that, and I really want to make a huge impact. And I know that the coaching is the avenue that I go down to do that. I'd love to also work with nurses, so empowering them so that they're not so burnt out, feeling lost in their career, as well. And I'd love to bring out a program soon, which is slowly in the works, which will be exciting.
When will that be done?
Um, I think in the next couple of months it should be releasing. Yeah.
Exciting. One last topic before we wrap it up is I actually reference you, not you personally, but like a lesson that we went through together on one of our calls, and I'd love for you to share your version of it. But I remember we jumped on a call once, and it was actually you made a video on it, and it was lack of self worth, and I was like, what values haven't you prioritized?
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to share your version of how does someone who's, I guess, feeling down or lacking a bit of self worth, how can one person what can they do to improve their level of self worth, self value, whatever confidence, self love, whatever word they want to use? How
Mm.
does someone do that?
Well, yeah, I guess with you, we worked out what my values were in life. And that was so great because anytime now that I feel out of alignment or I'm not sure what's going on, I refer back to, okay, where am I actually living out of alignment with my values right now? And a lot of the time I'll recognize what it is and go, oh, okay, easy fix. Um, I guess with lack of self-worth, confidence, self-love, all of those things, it's like, especially self-worth and self-love, you probably need to be implementing some self-love practices or doing things for yourself and giving back to yourself, because that's often a missing piece. And I'm a common offender of that. I will not give back to myself because I'm trying to give to everyone else, because I genuinely love giving to people. That's why I became a nurse in the first place, is helping and giving. But yeah, giving back to yourself, self-love practices. It might be a walk on the beach, it might be a bath, whatever it is for you. But yeah, definitely figuring out what your values are. So like, my top value is health and fitness. So as soon as I'm not eating nutritious, healthy foods that make me feel good or exercising, I can recognize that, like, I don't feel as great. And then I know exactly what I need to do is, you know, eat healthy, nutritious foods, go and do some exercise, and ultimately I feel better.
Magic. Like that.
Magic.
Just like that. Liv, it's been a pleasure having a conversation with you. If anyone wants to reach out for your services, connect with you, just be inspired by the content that you're putting out, where's the best place people can find you?
Best place would be my Instagram, which is liv _ Gargioni, Gargioni.
Don't ask me how to pronounce it.
Yeah, definitely on Instagram. Send me a message. I'm on there a lot, posting content, messaging people. So I also have TikTok and Facebook if you want to use those platforms too.
And what's your final message that you want to leave for people today?
Oh, okay. Everything is a choice, and you have the tools, the knowledge, and the guidance to be able to make the choice that you want to be able to achieve the life that you have.
There you go,
That you want.
ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Liv. This has been a pleasure. Guys, thank you for getting to the end of this podcast. Remember, comment, like, share, all the above. Send this to someone that you think would get value from it. Thank you so much, Liv. Much love to you.
Thank you. Yay.